Okay, this video is called College Ethics, and what this is about is, parents sometimes send kids to me for tutoring. Kids are having trouble in college, and, I usually just give them a couple pointers on how to approach college, and it often helps them to do much, much better. I have kids that were flunking out and ended up graduating first in their class once I taught them how to approach school. So anyways, and by the way, if you want to help any kid in college, I made a lecture called How to Crush Any College Class, all right? But what this is about is one thing that was new to me, this bizarre situation of what I will call college ethics. Some students are required to take classes in ethics. And listen to the type of ethics that they're being taught. I took a look at their book and it said, what is a human? Okay. And then it asks the question, is there a difference between humans and persons? And then it says that the book recommends they use the term persons rather than humans. And then they said that some humans are not really persons because they're mentally retarded or they're demented and they lack the ability to understand morality. Okay, so they're taking people's personhood away from them, number one. And then this is really based all on atheistic Darwinism. Okay, remember, this comes out of England, Darwin, and this whole idea that basically might is right. And England loved this idea of atheistic Darwinism because they could just say, well, look, whatever is survival of the fittest, and the British are just more fit and smarter than the Irish, so the Irish people deserve to be enslaved. And my father's from Ireland, my ancestors are Irish, half of them, so I'm very familiar with the fact that the Irish were basically slaves of the British for about 1,000 years, and they're doing the best they can to force them into a deeper form of slavery right now. They open up the you-know-what down south for this country, and something similar happens in all these other Western countries. They flood the country with persons hostile to the natives, and they allow them to brutalize the natives. And that's all done on purpose. Okay, but anyways, getting back to atheistic Darwinism, the reason they're doing this is they want to say that there is no God and that mankind is the same as a monkey, essentially. He's just a monkey that talks, that mankind has no soul. And then they tell the students that there's almost no difference between a human and a chimp, that they're 98% the same from their DNA. What they do is they take a very small amount of the DNA genome that has similarity to humans, and they say, well, it's like 98% the same. You're going to find there's a tremendous overlap in the DNA of a lot of the basic metabolic pathways like glycolysis for us even, and a mouse, okay? So this is a ridiculous statement, just so you know. And like I would say, too, is you could just think about people that you know. Imagine a couple of girls that are fraternal twins. So they're not identical twins, they're fraternal twins, born at the same time but not from the same DNA, eggs and zygote, so to speak. And they might be 90% similar or something, at the most, okay? And what I'm trying to say is 90% similar. So how could two people, same fraternal twins, be 90% similar? And they're actually not even that similar. But then we're 98% like a chimp. It's BS. And we have like 3 times larger cerebral cortex than chimps. Chimps are stupid. They can't even count. They're incredibly violent. They're a primitive beast, okay? We're very different from chimps. But what they're trying to do is degrade humans, take away their humanity, take away the divine part of humans, because this way they can take away all their rights and make them into slaves. Atheistic Darwinism is a justification for eugenics and slavery. That's what it's all about. And that's why it's important to know. And that's why also I get some stupid people who say things to me like, oh, I should stick to the science and I shouldn't talk about religion, or religion has nothing to do with science. And I'm telling these people, you're ignorant. You don't know anything about science. I've lived my whole life in the middle of it, okay? Since I was very young in competitive academic environments. And I can assure you, you cannot have good science if you don't have religion. And the simple reason is that tremendous ethics are involved. And unless you put humanity and the individual on a pedestal, there's just too much incentive to make money by abusing people, ripping them off, tricking them, doing all kinds of terrible things to them. And you have to have a real ethical foundation based on a religion like the Bible and Christianity, or everything goes to crap like it has in modern conventional medicine of the world today. So I just wanted to tell you what this book said. So I started reading this kid's book because I was amazed at it. It said some humans are not really persons because they're racist. Some criminals are not really persons because they are violent. And then the next thing the book says is, it asks the students, do they think these people should be removed from society? Well, who's going to make those decisions? You know, the billionaire perverts want to make those decisions, and what are they going to say? They're going to say, oh, you know, all the Christians should be removed from society. They're going to say, oh, all this other population, whoever they might be, should be removed from society. You bet they are. This is standard, you know, stuff that's used to produce you know what side, okay? Come on, this is obvious. Then they talk about stem cell research and cloning and how important it is. Okay, what do I think is going on? The billionaire perverts, what they've done is they bought the textbook companies, and so they now control what is put into the textbooks for the students. And these poor students, you know, they don't have much money, Christian families, and they force them to take a class that recommends that their population be genocided, you know what, okay? And they also require them, they're paying college tuition to take a class to say that their ethnic group should be you know what, sided, okay? That's crazy, okay? And they then will say that they want to legitimize you know what side of anybody who they think is unworthy of being called a person. They're basically labeling whole big categories of people as useless eaters. And this goes back to the 1930s. I'm telling you, if you want to know what's happening now, just read about what happened in Russia since 1917 and some other countries around that time in the 1930s, and you'll be able to make sense exactly out of what's happening nowadays, except that there's more modern technology. But the same basic principles are at work. Atheistic Darwinism with the desire of billionaire perverts to control the entire population through centralization and removal of rights, removal of God through atheism, okay? All right, so what's my prediction? It's obvious. The billionaire perverts, they're going to clone themselves, and they're going to clone some sex slaves, okay? I mean, what could be more obvious than that? Then you take a look. I like this painting from Alice in Wonderland when she talks to the caterpillar and he's just blowing smoke, okay? They don't have any scientific foundation for this. They're trying to use sort of this sophisticated sophistry to trick all the young, low IQ proles into justifying their own demise, okay? And then I just show this one picture here because it's interesting and funny and related to this. It's a box of Lucky Charms cereal. And there was this Irish college student, and he filed a protest complaint that Lucky Charms cereal should be removed from the cafeteria because he said it makes fun of Irish people and is insulting to their ancestral history. And he said that he's an Irish person and he doesn't feel lucky at all, that many of his ancestors died in the potato famine of the 1840s, and that every time he sees the Lucky Charms box of cereal in the cafeteria, he feels uncomfortable. Now, of course, he did it just as a joke. You know, I'm Irish. I'm not happy about the Irish being enslaved by the British for 1,000 years, but, you know, Lucky Charms doesn't bother me. It's just a cereal. It's just somebody, you know, trying to sell their product, okay? It's lousy junk food. But what I'm trying to say is we can always look back on our past and try to find some reason to justify being angry or unhappy about it. And this was very much like psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis and all this Freudian stuff is a bunch of BS. It's very self-destructive. It's used to degrade and destroy people and destroy society. It's all a bunch of evil crap. And you should know this because once you get pushed down this path, you know, psychoanalysis never ends. Oh, you know, you're going to blame your parents that your parents didn't do what you want and, you know, stir up all this resentment forever. No, it's BS. Look at Christianity. Christianity says forgive all these little things, get along with each other, be nice to each other, move on with your life, be fruitful and multiply, okay? Christianity works. All this BS just creates unhappiness and never-ending sadness and disaster and disagreement amongst people. And the only thing that can unify the population is a return to Bible ethics. So I hope it'll happen, but you can guarantee the billionaire perverts controlling the textbooks, forcing the students to take their class in brainwashing, are doing everything they can to make sure that things just get worse rather than better. So anyway, it's just good to be aware of it. The more people aware of this sort of thing, the better.